That's better.
Hi, welcome back. So today's a little bit of a different kind of project. I like to build new stuff out of fresh lumber, but sometimes I get to fix some other stuff. So I have a child's rocker that maybe took a little bit of a beating. One of the legs is broken. The the stub that goes into the rocker is broken. All the joints are loose. There's some split wooden pieces, but this is kind of what I like doing. I love when people trust me with their family heirlooms that they've accumulated over time. They just can't part with, and something's wrong. I love putting this stuff back together. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll get a little bit more into it in a minute. So I've done some slight disassembly of the rocking chair. Most of the joints are held in place with screws, with bolts actually, and to these threaded inserts, as you can see. One of them is broken off, but I think it's important here, as you can see, I'm gathering the materials list here, marking importantly where each one of these size bolts goes. Pretty important back here too. So this holds the back on, this holds the legs on, this holds the arms on, and I just need to get everything back together. I have one piece that's pretty well broken, but this is very fixable and I'm going to get it together soon. You can see this piece has suffered some stress over its time, but this is where the legs go in. And so because, as you can see, they're, yeah, maybe you can't see, but they're canted a little bit like that. And these joints are actually tight. So I don't want to mess with that. But since this is broken in both places, I'm probably going to split these apart, put the legs in. Obviously I have to pull these nails out and I'll clean up the holes, but I want to put them in place, put the pieces back on, clamp it up and glue it. It'll be good as new. So here's a thing. So I have these cracks and I'm trying to get glue into them. And I know this looks a mess right now, but this is a little tip. I use these packages that come from everywhere, and I just cut little strips, and they're very super thin slivers of stuff that I can use to spread glue even into the smallest parts of these cracks. And now when I get ready to clamp that up, I'll have glue everywhere. It looks like there's glue everywhere now, but it's going to be great. All right, you want some of this glue squeeze out. That's a lot, so I'm going to get some of that off. Now this side of this was beat up pretty badly, so I'm going to put some additional clamps on there, but the glue, when I put down into the crack, when I clamped it, enough came out that I'm sure there's good coverage. This is just initial wipe down, and then I have a wet one here that's going to take care of the rest. So I'm trying to alleviate any of the residue. The legs are in place, they're pushed down tight. I will make sure that they are straight because there's a little bit of a twist to them. Pretty easy, I think, to compensate for that, but let's get here first. I'm trying to just put enough clamp pressure to make sure that the glue is seated well and that the fibers of the wood can kind of blend back into each other, and just let it go. This is really the only repair I think I have to make other than kind of cleaning it up and giving it a fresh coat of wax. But here's what I'll do. I have this needs to go that way just a little, so I'll just put a clamp on there. Just to kind of hold it where it needs to be. Eyeballing it from above, you see. Okay, that looks pretty straight. So now the only thing I really need to do is make sure that all this extra glue is taken care of, so it doesn't look so sloppy. When it dries, I probably will have to give this piece a little bit of a sanding and maybe even a touch up of some stain. But this is on the bottom and you don't see it anyway unless you turn the chair over. But I'd rather it be strong so the next little one that gets to use this doesn't fall flat on the carpet. Or the next adult that says, hey, I think I could sit in that little chair. We know it's going to happen. That it holds up to a little bit more abuse. And just about there now. And I think we'll be good. I'm just, again, trying to get most of the glue off here. I think I've got really good glue coverage throughout this thing. Yeah, give it a little bit to dry for at least several hours, but probably overnight. I have to do a repair on here. See, it should look like this with this nub sticking out, but this one is broken off. So the other repair I do have to do is cut this out. I'll drill a dowel that's this same size into there, put a nutsert like this, which I have to get into there, and hopefully this will be good as new. You know, every once in a while this horizontal drilling function that I have on my Shopsmith comes in handy, and this is one of those times. So I have to drill, as you might remember, the tenon is gone off the bottom of this leg, and so I have to drill a nice straight hole into this one so I can insert a dowel. So I made this jig, crude you see, but out of scraps, and this traps the piece in there at just the right angle. I squared the channel here up with the bit. It's set to the right height. Did a very slight test cut just to make sure it's straight. Let's see if it works now. If it doesn't, I probably won't put this video up. Yeah, where's my camera? There we go. How's that look? It's a hole. So, just ready to glue this in. Nice. Good bit of the material that goes into the mortise or the hole. It's a hole. And so I could use my regular wood glue, which would probably work just fine. But I think my Gorilla is a little bit stronger. The hardest part about this, there's two things. One, you can't put too much because it expands a little bit, but it's I think a stronger glue, and especially in a situation like this, where you know the wood is a little bit gnarly on the end from being broken. I think it'll fill into those gaps a little bit. But as I learned from the table, I can't put too much or it'll ooze out all over the place. And the second thing about using this glue is, man, it's sticky. And so I got to make sure I don't get it all over the screen when I'm trying to set up these videos. How much is too much? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a little bit on the end here. What's the worst that can happen? most fascinating thing you'll see today.
So I forgot to film this part, but anyway, you didn't miss much. So I cut the tenon off at the appropriate length, just like this one, except it's this one. It doesn't like the focus, but I put in a nutsert as well, filed it down flat. It's ready to go back together.